Hello all. This is Anwy, and you are listening or watching the Bible reading series. If you have not watched the first episode, please do so for at least the disclaimer. However, I have to move quickly with this one because I don't have much time, but also there is a lot of content in this one, and I don't want it to be too long. So Matthew 6:9 through 13, King James Version. After this manner, therefore, pray ye. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Genesis 32, King James Version. Jacob's fear of Esau. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And Jacob saw them, and he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of the place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers from him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, and the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants, and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds, and the camels, into two bands. And said, Esau came to the one company, and smite it, then the other company, which is left, shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which said unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and all of the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant, for with my staff I passed over this Jordan. Now I am become two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And he say, Yea, moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with a present that goeth before me. Excuse me. And afterward I will see his face, and peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. Jacob wrestles. Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with man, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. As he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Made a small error here. Yisrael. Okay, so short order. Here we see the ending verse of chapter 31 is in the Septuagint put on the first verse of chapter 32. Laban and Jacob depart from each other. Laban back to his own land, Jacob to the land that God is promising him. After a period of time, Jacob went on his way, and angels of God met him. So there were messengers in the King James, but it is referenced as angels. This is God's host, which it does say angels here. Oh, sorry, I'm mixing two things up. Jacob sending messengers to Esav, and angels that meet Jacob here. Sorry, the word angel means a messenger. And I got a little mixed up there. However, Jacob prepares this display because he's told something similar that happened to Laban. We're actually kind of seeing the same thing that happened to Laban with Jacob, where Laban was told a condition with Jacob that wasn't entirely true. So we see here he receives message that Esav has like 400 men with him, and he's coming to meet Jacob. And so Jacob assumes that he's coming to kill him. So he divides his people, and he prays out to the Lord. After doing so, there is I believe there's a moment where the groups move off, and Jacob experiences a person, an entity, a thing, because it kind of says that it's an angel here in the Septuagint, or a messenger of God. And then in the King James Version, it says God meets him. So two different variances, but they wrestle. And then the angel or God pops out his hip. And this is why the Jewish people do not eat of that particular part of the body. So this is all preemptive to him meeting Esav. There's no exchange yet between the two, if I'm not mistaken. So we see these angels of God met him. Angels of Israel came to greet him, to escort him to the land. So he was also promised protection. One of the overarching themes is either that God is continuously protecting him, or the protection stopped as he entered into the land. So there's a little bit of a challenge between conversations on that one. But in the Rabbah, let me say that. And Jacob said when he saw them, "This is the camp of God," and he named the place Machanaim. Two camps is what this means. There's some mathematical stuff that says something about 1,200,000 are there in this. I'm not sure if I can gather that. However, I think that this is in reference to the fact that there is going to be two camps that he creates, possibly. But either way, that's the name that's given. Jacob sent angels ahead of him to his brother Esav to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. Jacob sent angels, literal angels, that's the translation, which I think here, there's a shift because of verse 1. It says Jacob sent messengers before him in the King James. However, in the Septuagint, it says that it literally means angels. So I guess we could have like it's the same word, but meaning slightly different context here. To the land of Seir, in every word that the prefix lam at the beginning, Scripture placed a he at the end. So this is just ensuring that we get a proper understanding of the name. But this is a field of red is kind of what this is, because Edom is comes from Esav, and there's redness that is involved with that. This is interesting because what happens next in the following parts is we see Jacob make a proclamation, or an angel God make a proclamation. Hopefully I remember to hit that, so I'm going to move on. And he commanded them, saying, "So shall you say to my master Esav, thus said your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban, and I have tarried until now. I have sojourned. I did not become an officer or a dignitary, but a stranger. It is not worthwhile for you to hate me on account of my father's blessings, with which he blessed me. You shall be a master over your brothers, for it was not fulfilled in me." Another explanation has the numerical value of 613. That is to say, I lived with the wicked Laban, but I kept the 613 commandments, and I did not learn from his evil deeds. Yeah, so we have a split here in which it's, you don't be mad at me because I didn't become something great. In fact, I became a stranger, is the first concept. But then it says, which he blessed me, but it was not fulfilled in me. I mean, yeah, it hasn't come to fruition, sure, but it is something that will come about, which I'll talk about what truth means here in a bit. So, in this context specifically, "And I have acquired oxen, donkeys, flocks, manservants, and maidservants, and have sent to tell this to my master, to find favor in your eyes." So he's preparing this sacrifice to Esav, which is there's a lot of connectivity between this and what happens with the Messiah. Is the best way I can say it as of right now. "And I've acquired oxen and donkeys. My father said to me, of the dew of the heavens and of the fatness of the earth, but this is neither from the heavens nor from the earth." He was blessed, is what he's kind of saying here, by God. Oxen and donkeys. Ox and a donkey, it is customary to call many oxen ox. A person says to his companion at night, "The rooster has crowed," but does not say, "The roosters have crowed." Excuse me. So one of the things is this oxen is a creature of war, apparently. And this creature, and it specifically says, I'm not sure if I have it even pulled up here. No, this is the fear one. So it references in the Rabbah, and Christians may find this interesting, that it references that the Messiah will come on a donkey. Which I say that because, like, I found that interesting. So I think that that's an interesting reference to make. "And I have sent to tell this to my master, to tell you, know that I am coming to you, and to find favor in your eyes, that I am at peace with you and seek your love." So this whole thing, this sacrifice, the giving from one to another for appeasement, is going to kind of come to the concept of repentance, forgiveness, and the turning away of someone. So we came to your brother. The angels returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother, to Esav, and he is also coming toward you, and 400 men are with him." So the angels went out, they came back, and they tell him the condition. But it doesn't say here, what it doesn't say within this text is that it has any type of malicious intent. It just says that Esav has 400 men. Now, I can see how in someone's mind they're like, well, I mean, what am I going to do with that? But it might just simply be that Esav is so excited that he told that everyone, get up, let's go and meet him. So there is also that aspect. Jacob became very frightened and was distressed, which in the writing it says, Jacob became frightened and distressed. He was frightened lest he be killed, and he was distressed that he might kill others. So this is very interesting because we could read it and just go, oh yeah, he's frightened and distressed. He's concerned about being killed. However, this dual piece, very frightened and was distressed, is commented in the text that you wouldn't say that. That's unnecessary to say this. And so therefore what it's meaning is that he's concerned not only for his well-being, but for the well-being of Esav. And he said, if Esav comes to one camp and strikes it down, the remaining camp will escape. So there was a lot written on this, and I'm not going to read this because it's just a bunch of referencing to other scripture, which is good. I'm nothing against that. They speak, and I'll read this portion. The remaining camp will escape against his will, for I will wage war with him. He, Jacob, prepared himself for three things: for a gift, for war, and for prayer. For a gift, so the gift passed on before him; for prayer. So, yes, he's preparing. He's preparing for potential. Like I said, it could be that he's frightened for himself, also frightened for Esav and all the people along with him. But then there's another part of the text. One camp and strikes down the other, is that he is being intentional with what he's doing. He wants to keep his people safe the best that he can here. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Yitzhak, the Lord, who said to me, return to your land and to your birthplace, and I will do good to you. And God of my father Yitzhak. It says, and the fear of Yitzhak, why did he repeat the tetragrammaton? Scripture should have written, who said to me, return to your land? Rather, so did Jacob say, before the Holy One, blessed be he. You gave me two promises. One, when I left my father's house from Beersheba, when you said to me, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Yitzhak. And there you said to me, and I will guard you wherever you go. And in Laban's house, you said to me, return to the land of your forefathers, to your birthplace, and I will be with you. There you revealed yourself to me with a tetragrammaton alone, for it is said, and the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your forefathers. With these two promises I come before you. Okay, so in short, what the tetragrammaton is, I know that there's a whole lot more baggage that comes along with it, but this is referencing when you see YHWH, Yahweh. If I'm pronouncing that correctly. There is a symbology that goes along with this and a whole lot of other things, but that's what it's referencing. So technically, you're not supposed to say God, the name of God. So it keeps it like there's a holiness to it. To say it inappropriately is wrong. So they keep out the name of the Lord in this. It's another reason why some look at the very end of this chapter and see that the name is never given for whoever it is that Jacob was rolling with or wrestling with in the dirt. Just as a reference, so they repeat this in this section, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Yitzhak. If you've watched before, this is because I believe, if I'm understanding this correctly, you only say this, God of my father Yitzhak, when the individual has passed away. So the other part of this distress and his concern here, the fright and distress, is that there may be a reading that Esav is coming to Jacob to tell him of his father and what has happened to his father. So that's why he's saying this. Yitzhak, the Lord, who said to me, return to your land and to your birthplace, and I will do good to you. So he's crying, like this moment is kind of like a crying out, the best that I can say it, to the Lord, and saying, you have told me these things. Why is this condition such? I have become small from all the kindnesses and from all the truth that you have rendered your servant. For with my staff I crossed this Jordan. Now I have become two camps, divided, which is not good. However, it's interesting on that. I won't get too deep in that, but I have become small. My merits have diminished because of the kindnesses and the truth that you have rendered me. Therefore, I fear lest I have become solid with sin since the time that you promised me, and it will cause me to be delivered into Esau's hand. And from all the truth, the realization of your words, that you kept from me all the promises that you made to me. For with my staff I had with me neither silver nor gold nor livestock, but only my staff. The Midrash Agadah states, he placed his staff into the Jordan split. Okay. This is one of the primary things that I kind of want to hit on, is what does truth mean? There's a concept that when a word is introduced within the side of the Bible, it maintains that meaning within the Bible. So truth here. The realization of your words, God's words, that you kept from me all the promises that you made to me. So he has kept the promises he has given. So when God speaks about truth, it is what I say will come to fruition. It will happen. Whatever he proclaims will happen. We can trust in that. That is truth. So we see here the beginnings of this word and what we can reference it as. And it is the fact that God keeps his word. So I think this is a critical piece, and why I'm kind of belaboring it, even though I don't have much time, but I think it is extremely important for us to use certain terms like this appropriately. Truth can mean like the state of how things are, in some regard. But here we see that truth is what will come to be will be maintained. What the God said will come to be is what will happen. Now deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esav, for I am afraid of him, lest he come and strike me and strike a mother with child, with children. From the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esav, from the hand of my brother, who does not behave toward me like a brother, but like the wicked Esav. Nothing has happened yet. However, he's assuming these things. His fear is leading him into this. So I'm going to switch over here to the Rabbah real quick. I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible. I know I do a lot of reading for this, but for the Lord had chosen Jacob for himself. The Holy One, blessed be he, said to him, behold, I am with you. But ultimately he was afraid, as it is stated. Jacob was frightened. The chosen of the prophets, this is Moses, as it is stated, were it not for Moses, his chosen. So we see here that Jacob was chosen by God. The Holy One, blessed be he, said to him, for I will be with you. He's promising that. This is the truth. But ultimately he was afraid. The Lord said to Moses, do not fear him. He says, do not fear only to one who is afraid. These rabbis, in the name of Rabbi Shmuel Bar, in the name of Rabbi Natan, Israel would have been worthy of elimination in the days of Haman had they not based their mindset on the mindset of their ancestors. So here's the subnote. The Midrash states that in the days of Haman, the Jews should not have been terrified since they had already been given a divine promise. The Jewish people would not be eliminated. However, since his mindset of fearing annihilation despite a divine promise existed already, with Jacob it was forgivable. So ever since his mindset of fearing annihilation despite a divine promise existed already, so he was forgiven of this. They said, if our patriarch Jacob, to whom the Holy One, blessed be he, promised and said, behold, I am with you, was afraid, we all the more so. That is what the prophet criticizes Israel. You forgot the Lord your Maker, who spread the heavens and laid the foundation of the earth. He said to them, you have forgotten what he said to you. So the Lord, if the heavens above can be measured and the foundations of the earth below probed, I too will spurn all the descendants of Israel because of everything that they did. If you see the heavens fall and the earth collapse, should you not have learned from the spread of the heavens and the earth? Instead, you feared continuously all day. You should have learned from the fact that the heaven and the earth did not collapse, but rather the heavens remained spread over earth. why I'm diving into this one is because it is returning to this primary concern of mine here, what the truth is. If God says that he's going to protect you, if he gives a divine promise, it's true. Why fear? Why fear? Once again, Esau hasn't even done anything. He's just there with a bunch of men. Now, people, I'll say it that way. He has 400 people. So nothing has happened. And you said, I will surely do good with you, and I will make your seed as numerous as the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted because of multitude. I will surely do good in the merit of your forefathers. And I will make your seed numerous as the sea. Now, where did he tell him this? Is it not that he said to him only, 28:14, and your seed shall be like the dust of the earth? But he said to him, for I will not forsake you until I have done for you what I've spoken concerning you. To Abraham he said, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. Okay. Jacob is coming to God in fear of his brother, because his brother has amassed a bunch of people. Seems pretty rightfully so. I mean, if a lot of the nuance of Esau throughout the text of him being such a terrible person committing so much atrocities, however, the biggest concern is that the very last things that we hear kind of Esau say is that I wish my father would part from us so that I can go about doing what I want, which is a very concerning thing. So it's fair enough. I mean, the last kind of like parting wishes of Esau to his brother was this, but we don't know what's happened with Esau during this time period. There's a bit of a chance for forgiveness. And this is what I'm going to kind of try to hint at with this whole thing. At this point, Jacob has dealt with Laban and angels. And how has he dealt with them? He's dealt with them well, to the point where, at least in the Septuagint, it says that he commanded angels, which is very interesting. However, we're going to see something else that happens. So he lodged there on that night, and he took from them, from what came into his hand, a gift for his brother Esau. So in this, they're going to go on to start trying to explain what this gift thing is and how it came into his hand. One is an expression of precious stones and pearls in a bag, and the other one is something to do with ordinary animals, which I guess I could see the precious stones and pearls. However, what's interesting is Jacob hasn't technically at any given point said that he has a lot of precious things like gold, silver, like we had with Abraham. Abraham received gold and silver and precious ornaments. He also received some other things, but here, from the very beginning, Jacob was blessed from his father, and then he just went off with a staff in his hand. That's the whole point of this, like, staff up with my staff. He didn't have gold or silver. He had nothing, and now he's coming with livestock. So I kind of ordinary animals, for he had already tithed them. So they're trying to make a connection with tithing being part of this grouping of animals as a gift, which here we see, in my opinion, what tithing can be used for. And part of it is for forgiveness, for and then giveness. 200 she-goats, 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams. All right. 200 she-goats require 20 he-goats, and so all of them, the males according to what are required for conjugal duties. This whole thing, and that's kind of why I sighed, is speaking about the necessity of conjugal practices with men and women. And it basically says people are different as far as that goes, and they're getting this out of these numbers of how many things that he's giving them. So I'm not going to read too much into that one. 30 nursing camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 she donkeys and 10 he donkeys. 30 nursing camels with their young, and their young with them. So their males, but since it, okay, so it's once again referring to mating practices, and he donkeys, male donkeys. So all of this, they read into this. This is how conjugal interaction plays out between animals and humans a little bit. That's what I could get out of it. I could be way off, but that I don't know how else I could read it. And he gave into the hands of his servants, each herd individually, and he said to his servants, pass on ahead of me and make a space between one herd and another herd, each herd individually, each species by itself. Pass on ahead of me a day's journey or less, and I will come after you, and make a space, one herd before the next, within the distance the eye can see, in order to satisfy the eye of the wicked and bewilder him with the enormity of the gift. Okay. I can kind of, I can see that. I mean, by splitting things up and then spacing them out, you can make things look bigger. Once again, the eye of the wicked man is implying we already know the intent of Esav. And he commanded the first one, saying, when my brother Esav meets you and asks you to say, you saying, to whom do you belong and where are you going? For whom are these before you? To whom do you belong? Who's sending you? And for whom are these before you? To whom is this gift being sent? And you shall say, I belong to your servant. It is a gift sent, Jacob. It is a gift sent to my master, to Esav, and behold, himself is behind us. He replied first to the first question and last to the last question. There's a lot of writing on this. I want to just point out this part because I think it's paramount to at least our time frame. Me personally, maybe. He's submitting himself to Esav. He is trying his best to give to Esav and to make himself lower. To your servant, Jacob. He doesn't say brother. He doesn't say anything else. Your friend. He doesn't say cohort or any. Your servant, Jacob. Now, in our day and age, that vernacular is, laden with a whole lot of other problems, especially in Western culture. This word is in which he was speaking about the wages and the way that he worked for Laban. He was a person that served Laban. That's what that is talking about. So no, he's not. This isn't the way that we perceive servanthood and masterdom in our day and age. This is a totally different operating system. It would be more like boss and employee. Still has a little bit different nuance, but and you shall say also, behold, your servant Jacob is behind us. I will appease his anger. Okay. This is second major portion of this entire thing. I will do away with his anger. Similarly, your treaty with death shall be nullified. You shall not be able to rid yourself of it. It appears to my eyes that any moment of this near to sin or transgression or near the word countenance are terms of wiping away or removal. This word here, I believe that's this, is atonement. The word here, I could try pronouncing it, is kapra, but that means atonement. He's saying that it appears to my eyes that any atonement near to sin or transgression or near the word countenance are terms of wiping away or removal. Okay. So, getting rid of this thing. I will Yet I will appease his anger. I will wipe away, I will atone his anger. This is a reversal in the mind that we have to think about. He's coming to someone who is mad at him, who is angry at him, who has a treaty, in the words here, and your treaty with death shall be nullified. How is he doing it? By giving, by submitting. This is not something that we are told of with inside of like our cultural world, at least in my experience in America. No, when somebody is mad and angry at you, you go at them and conquer them, is the concept. No, that's not what he's doing here. And we're going to see what happens by him doing so. By wiping this away. Now, we saw this, Abimelech does something similar with what happens between Abraham and Sarah. He gives them, I think it was 1,000 pieces of silver to cover their eyes. Okay? Which is another way of saying turning away to not pay attention to this thing. I'm appeasing, atoning this thing. So, moving on. So the gift passed on before him, and he lodged that night in the camp. So he sends out his gift in the middle of the night. Apparently, before him is imparting that Jacob was angry, in an angry mood. I don't know if I can get that. I know for a fact that it said he was feared and distressed. Maybe there is potential that he might have been mad at God for setting this whole thing up and saying, you should go into your country, but then he's not going to provide protection because his brother is coming to kill him with 400 people. Like that is a possibility, but I have a hard time with that one because it literally said earlier on that he was feared and distressed. So maybe somebody can be feared, distressed, and angry all simultaneously, but that's my thought. And he arose during that night, and he took his 2 wives and his 2 maidservants and his 11 children, and he crossed the ford of Jabbok. Okay, so, and his 11 children. This is an interesting comment here. Take it or leave it. I'll get to it in a second. But he's protecting what he loves, he cares for. We see what we can consider a righteous man at this moment now, because he's sending a peace offering to Esav. He's causing an atonement interaction to happen. He is struggling right now, and we're going to get to that in a moment, with what he sees God doing, and he thought that God was giving him truth, right? So, this is, in my eyes, protection of his family. Defending his family, I should say. His 11 children. But where was Dinah? So they don't count for Dinah. This should be 12 children, but because Benjamin was not yet born. Apparently, Jacob threw her in a chest and locked her in it so that Esav should not set eyes on her. However, the counter is therefore Jacob was punished for withholding her from his brother, because had he married her, meaning Esav married Dinah, perhaps she would cause him to improve his ways, and she fell into the hands of Shechem. This is violence and terribleness. So, very, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a funny scene in my head. Maybe it might just be as simple as they were just counting the men, children. I don't know. Maybe Dinah wasn't there. I do like the chest idea. I think it's kind of funny and fun. And he took them and brought them across the stream and took across what was his, the animals and movables. So he still had, he gave to Esav, but he still had a portion for himself. So he got them across the waters, and then Jacob was left alone. So he went back to where they were, or maybe they crossed and then they kept going and he stayed. They'll explain what they think. And a man wrestled with him until break. Jacob was left. He had forgotten small bottles and returned them. I don't know what type of bottles they're talking about. I did not get to this reading. I really wish that I would have been able to spend more time on this, but and be that as it may, and a man wrestled. So there's 2 formed in this. The first is that it means that they were covered in dust. So they were two men that were just covered in dust because of the movement of feet. However, there's another part of this Aramaic expression, after they became attached, or he would tie it, for so is the habit of two people who make strong efforts to throw each other down. That one embraces the other and attaches himself to him with his arms. Okay, I can almost see both of these. I think what the scene is in my head is they're Jacob and some individual, whoever this is, we'll get to in a second, are now struggling to throw one of the other onto the ground. But as doing so, they're shuffling their feet so much that they're both covered in dust. Okay? When he saw that he could not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip. This is the individual that he's with, this man. He touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip became dislocated as he wrestled with him. He touched the socket of his hip. The upper thigh bone that is thrust into the hip bone, they reference like the shape of a pot ladle. That's how they're figuring this out. The literal is ladle. So like the ladle, the bone ladle is kind of the phrase of this. That's why they're saying the hip became dislocated from its joint, and similar to this, lest my soul be alienated from you, to tear out their roots. So we see here these two wrestling, and the one decides to dislocate Jacob's hip because it's not going the way that he's hoping. And he, the man, the angel said, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." But he, Jacob, said, "I will not let you go unless you have blessed me. For dawn is breaking, and I must recite a song of praise." So, timing of prayers and of singing songs is a very cultural thing in my understanding. Unless you have blessed me and acknowledge for me the blessings with which my father blessed me, which Esau is contesting. So this is more in what that's saying is basically, I'm acknowledge the things that I've already been blessed for and let them come to be. He's fearful, he's distressed, and he thinks his brother's going to kill him, and God has told him, "I'm going to protect you." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Yisrael, because you have commanding power with an angel of God and with men, and have prevailed. No longer be called Jacob. It shall no longer be said that the blessings came to you through trickery and deceit." Remember what he did in front of his brother and his father. "But with nobility and openness, and ultimately the Holy One, blessed be He, will reveal Himself to you in Bethel, and change your name, and there He will bless you, and I will be there." He then acknowledged them, the blessings, as being his, Jacob's. This is the meaning of what is written. He strove with an angel and prevailed over him, and he wept and supplicated him. Meaning that the angel wept and supplicated with him. With what did he supplicate him? In Bethel he will find him, and there he will speak with him, or speak with us. Wait for me until he speaks with us there. Jacob, however, did not consent to release the angel, and against the angel's will, the angel acknowledged them, the blessings, as being his. This is the meaning of he blessed him there, and he entreated him to wait, but he did not wish to do so. And with men, Esau, and Laban, and you have prevailed over them. Okay, this whole thing right here is the interaction that's going on, and it's simply expressing the intents of the two individuals. And in the very end of this, it says, "Because you have commanding power with an angel of God and with men, and you have prevailed." You've already prevailed. He hasn't even won this match between the angel and him, but he did command the angels to message. And he prevailed over Laban, so maybe the Esav is to be the future part, right? But this is telling us what's going on with what Jacob is doing. The deceit and trickery part here to nobility and openness, and ultimately the Holy One, blessed be He, will reveal Himself to you in Bethel. Okay. He acted in such a way in the beginning, and that is why his name was Jacob. And now he will be Israel. He has changed. He has repented of his actions and is now acting as an individual who is not deceitful. We saw the change in him when he was working with Laban. He honestly worked with him. He was righteous in his actions. And Jacob asked and said, "Now tell me your name." And he said, "Why is it that you ask for my name?" And he blessed him there. So he wasn't going to do it. And then he asks him, "Tell me your name." And he says, "Why is that your ask? We have no permanent name," is what their answer is. "Our names change all according to the service we are commanded to do in the mission upon which we are sent." I think this is more referring to the moment when he said that he was Esav. I think that there's an interplay between the fact that he is asking him, "Well, who are you? Are you Esav or are you Jacob?" And now because of your actions, you have become Yisrael. And so then he asks him what his name is, which is an interesting thing because he's wanting to know who he is, which is, I think, a paramount concept, and an overarching concept in this whole thing. Then the sun rose for him when he passed Penuel, and he was limping on his thigh. Sun rose for him. This is a common expression. When we arrived at such and such a place, the dawn broke for us. This is the simple explanation. The Midrashic, and the sun rose for him to heal his limp, as it is said, the Son of Mercy, with healing in its wings. Those hours that it hastened to set for him when he left Beersheba, it hastened to rise for him. And he was limping on his thigh. He was limping on his thigh when the sun rose. There's something, I think they're trying to say that after the sun rose, his limp was gone. It was a healing act. And the very end is, therefore the children of Israel may not eat the displaced tendon, the hip sinew. Now, why is it named this? Because it sprang out of its place and rose. That root is a term of springing. Their might has failed, and similarly for God has caused me to forget all my toil. So I didn't look this up, and that's probably a failure on my part. So I'm not getting as much out of this one as I possibly could because time was kind of ticking down on me. I hope that you see what the two critical points or maybe the three critical points that I see in this is, and that's what truth is, what atonement / forgiveness and repentance is. And I guess that, I guess that sums it all up as best as I can. And we see that interplay with Jacob and Esav. Now, we haven't even gotten to what Esav is going to do. But I think that that's what we're called to do. We see somebody who's coming. We don't blame them. We prepare ourselves. We prepare ourselves for defense, sure. But we also try to submit ourselves to the other person. Prepare, sure, but be defensive, be wise in your actions, but also be in such a manner in which it's honorable. So hopefully this was good for you. This was a really interesting read. I'll probably read a little bit more personally on this on these rabbos, but thank you so much for listening to the very end. And I hope to see you guys next time.